I have a question, Stuart, Chris.
Yes, Chris.
Stuart, I've been working hard to prepare for the retreat. And last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I had nausea and vomiting and all kinds of stuff going on in my system. And in about 6 hours, it was just gone. Is that purging kind of preparing me for the retreat, do you think?
Getting rid of poison, Chris. It's one of the ways that poison comes out of our system.
Oh,
Getting rid of it. I mean, it's good that you're absolutely working to prepare. I mean, I can't even look forward. I mean, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do this. It's going to be a very, very difficult week with people and problems. And
Yes.
so we have to prepare. I have to prepare. I have to stay very quiet, really contain my energy, not get involved with too much now. Just save it for next week because it's going to be an extraordinary week.
yes.
And the more you prepare inside yourself, the more you're going to take away with you.
Great.
I mean, literally, the more classes one comes to before, the more you build, the more you take away from
Mhm.
the retreat. You know, I mean, it's a very sacred day, the 21st. I mean, you have to realize I was in an airplane crash with the person who saved my life.
Oh my God.
I mean, people don't realize this. And I was there the last moment he was alive. And the only reason I'm sitting here and talking today is he put his soul
Yeah,
inside me. That's the reason I survived that crash.
a miracle.
So yes, vomit some more. Get rid of I mean, don't force yourself to vomit.
Yeah,
If it
yeah,
comes up, let it out.
yeah.
See, I spoke about this earlier today in the other class about how when people start feeling a little weak, they start, having to let go. There's some big dramas and soap operas in their life, and uh, they often just stop coming to class.
Mm,
It's just stupid. I mean, they need the energy to get through these things.
yeah,
Because all of these things are, literally, all they are is change taking place inside them. That they are ready to go to another level. And all of that drama is just the resistance in themselves to do it, to go to another level. And they have to go to another level. You have to let go of something. And
yeah,
if you don't let go of anything, you're going to spend all your time just fighting with yourself,
Mm.
building tension inside, not letting go, hiding out in some
mhm,
kind of womb-like existence.
yeah,
Mm.
And that's what people do. And I spoke about this earlier today because anytime you're going to go through a change, this is what's going to happen. To me, it happens every year between January 24th and February 21st. Every year I go through this. I can barely open my mouth. I have to stay very quiet. I have to really conserve energy. And then I do a retreat around the 21st, and it just blows right to the next level.
right.
It goes to, I mean, years of going through this, you know the signs. And people, as I say, when they begin to feel like, you know, business is bad and the relationships are bad, everything is going crazy, right? We have a political world that's completely off its rocker today, you know? And people get depressed, they get unhappy, they get. And instead of understanding, as I keep telling people, you got to go refill your tank. You got to keep your tank full of Shakti
Mm.
so that it gets you through these situations.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
And people don't do that, you know. It's really very sad sometimes to see how people respond to the point when they're ready to make a major change
Mm.
and how much resistance comes up and how they function. I've seen it, you know, I've seen people this year, people that were ready to really make major changes. And all of a sudden they start fighting with me, they're arguing with me. I mean, it gets crazy. I said, what are you doing? You're ready to, you know, and then they disappear.
Wow.
You know, this work is not, I'm okay, you're okay. This work is, you know, truly dealing with every element that exists inside yourself. And in all of us, there's positive, there's negative, there's all kinds of stuff that
Mhm.
we have to learn to let go of. And we need to learn to deal with it. And how do you deal with it? You go to the place where you can get the energy to deal with it. It's not the time to reject that place, it's the time to embrace it.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And you know, and for those of you that are coming this weekend, you have to prepare for this. I really mean it. It's going to be very powerful. I mean, I can't say how or what. I don't have any expectations, and I haven't even thought about it, frankly. I just going to go into it and do it.
Yeah.
But I know that it's going to be really powerful. It has to be.
Of course.
I have gone through so many changes in the last few months. I don't even recognize myself anymore. The way I talk, the way I interact with people now is just a whole different story. And I have to be able to build a system that can sustain that. And that's what the retreat is going to be, to build that kind of system. So if you start getting a little depressed and unhappy, that's not a time to run away from meditation when you need it more than any other time. And don't use your bullshit as an excuse, you know, to cut yourself off from one of the great life-giving sources that you have. God has provided this.
Stuart, I also want to ask you, because I've been your student for a long time. There's so many changes in your face, in the lines in your face. And it's like your story you told us about when Rudy said, "Stop looking at my head." I feel like I'm riveted to see that in your forehead.
Well, Chris, that's what's happening.
Yeah,
I'm arriving at a state where I totally am embracing less is more.
yeah,
I can't compete with God. I can't compete with higher energy. I have to be less so all of that can flow through and
yeah.
help build me and build people that want to open and embrace it.
Mm.
And all your head starts changing, everything changes. I mean, look, I've lost 30 pounds or something, you know. I mean, it's I mean, the last time I weighed myself, yeah, it was 30 pounds I lost. I have to thank Jennifer for that, you know, and the food she feeds me. Does anyone else have a question?
Stuart, I have a question.
Yes, Bob?
Could you expand on what you mean by less is more as far as how we interact with our life?
Well, the less ego, the less opinions, the less righteousness you have, the less you have to you know, put on some kind of false image of yourself in order to compete in our society. No, the less illusion there is, the more there is of higher energy that can flow through you and provide you with wisdom, with knowledge, with, an open heart, with love, with compassion. If you don't surrender these things, if you need to have some stupid image of yourself and who you are and what you are as it interferes with the flow of higher energy. That energy stops flowing. You clog up the system. So the less ego, the less, you know, uh, self-importance that you inflict on the world, the less charisma that you use to dominate other people, you know. Actually, the more you can keep your mouth shut, the less you have to talk. Is also a good, it's a good, less is more. I mean this. All of this stuff just interferes with the flow, and it doesn't allow the chakra system to really open and to get strong inside, and for you to become a child of God, you to become, a channel through which that higher energy can flow, and not only nurture yourself, but nurture other people. So, we get in the way. That is the problem. I've said this for years now. We get in the way. On the other side of all of us is a spiritual life. So we need to get past, all the illusion, all the images we have of who we are, success, failure, this, that. It's all an illusion. And get to a place where there's simplicity and we're connected to God, higher energy that guides our life and really allows us to see what's real, what's an illusion, how to make choices, how to live in the world, how to treat other people, how to treat ourselves. And this is not easy, Bob, because we're taught from the time we're, like 1 month old, the exact opposite. Make your way in the world. You know, I mean, we're taught the exact opposite. Build the ego, build charisma, build your self-importance. And nobody talks about building a chakra system, developing an open heart, quieting the mind, you know, mastering our inner chaos and tension. That's less is more. And you need to be very strong inside to do what I'm talking about. And that's just something that you read on a blackboard, all right, I'm going to do that. You got to build a system that is capable of doing it. And that means transforming ego and, self-importance. And probably the big one is righteousness, being right all the time and stuffing it in everybody's face. So there's less of that and there's more of wisdom, knowledge, connection with what's infinite in the universe. And that energy guides your life. And it doesn't mean you don't have ambition in the world and you don't work and you make money and have relationships and have a social life and, go to nice restaurants. You do everything. But when you do all these things, they are not, a mirror image of yourself. You do it, you enjoy them, you have fun, and it's part of life. But it's not a controlling factor and it's not, keeping up with the Joneses. And
Thank you, Stuart. Very
how do you,
fantastic.
how do you get less is more? Surrender. How do you surrender? You got to build an inner life that is strong enough to do it.
Mm.
Because you can't walk away from yourself. Wherever you go. I remember, I think I told you, when I was younger, I was living in Belgium for a couple of weeks. Some people, friends of friends, I stayed at their house. And I remember, the food was different, the language was different, you know. And I remember thinking, this is years before, like 5 years before I met Rudy. I remember thinking, everything has changed around you except you, Stuart. You're still crazy inside. And wherever you go, you bring that. Something has to teach you how to change that. And I went from Belgium to Austria and Austria to Italy. And it was the same thing. The dress changed, the languages changed, the food changed. I didn't change. And before I was living in these places for a week, I was deeply unhappy. All the changes didn't make me happy because I didn't change inside myself. Now it took years to meet Rudy to learn how to do it. I used to say, how do you change? How do you get rid of this stuff that you're living with? All this tension and ego, and it took years for me to learn how to do it. But thank God, less is more. And I used to hear Rudy say that all the time. Less is. Does anyone else have a question? Good question, Bob. Me too, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
I've been trying to practice what you're speaking of tonight, and also what Chris was saying. I've been trying to get ready for this retreat, but what I'm finding is I have an incredible amount of energy. And what it's doing to me is it's making me come up with these fabulous ideas, these wonderful things that I can't ignore. And when I was sitting tonight, I realized, you're just wasting your time. You are thinking about something when you need to surrender.
All right, Pat, there are three things, okay?
Yes.
You take, as much of that energy as you can take inside yourself and use it to build the chakra system. Understand? The second thing is you use that energy, the overflow of that energy, to build things in your life. You have a great idea, something to do, that overflow of energy will make it a reality. I mean, I built a kind of big Asian art business when I was younger. It was the overflow. It wasn't the energy I was using to develop the chakra. There was so much energy, it had to go into something. And it supported the meditation centers. It supported so much that Caesar requires. Caesar required it. And the third thing is you take a crap. You get rid of all the stuff that doesn't create for you, you can't use it. You just get rid of it, you know? And then all of it is used creative, and none of it will congest you because everything has a purpose. That's what I suggest. It worked for me, it still works for me, although I can't do what I used to do years ago. I can't go to India 4 times a year and do the kinds of things I used to do, to earn a living. But it works. So it's a three-step process.
Thank you for this terrific amount of teaching and energy, Stuart.
That's what I'm here for, God. It's the purpose of my life. I have to give this away. It's one of the ways I serve God, Rudy, Nityananda, and And it gives me enormous gratitude to be able to do this and give it away. And hopefully people take it and they don't take it for granted, you know, and they use it in order to build their own lives. And hopefully someday they can give it away to somebody else. Does anyone else have a question?
So, Stuart, what you just said, that the one of the purposes is to uh, give it away. What is the importance of that?
Of giving it away?
Yes.
Well, the importance is me sitting here and doing these classes. That's the importance. I'd learned a lot of my life. What am I going to do? Sit here and congratulate myself on how much I've learned and not. You have to serve it in some way in the world. You understand? Otherwise, it's just, what is it? Bullshit, you know?
Mm.
But it has to be served. A higher force has to be served somehow in the world. And, you know, and if you open in that kind of depth, it comes to you how to serve. They will guide you in what you have to do to serve in this world. I mean, it's the overflow of energy that teaches these classes. And in order for that overflow to do it, I have to be centered and the energy has to be making the full cycle inside me.
Mm.
And then there's all that energy, for God's sake, you know?
Mm.
Focused in helping people to build their lives. It has to be given away. Does anyone else have a question? And, you know, just to finish this, you know, it's not so serious, all these things I talk about. Because you have to be able to laugh at yourself. You have to be able to have fun. You have to enjoy your life. You can't take every bullshit thing that happens in the world personally. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, we're here, we're alive. You know, we have hearts. We have to have love. We have to have joy in our lives. And that really is a major step to spiritual enlightenment. You know, because to do what I'm talking about, the heart has to be open. It has to be love, unconditional love. It's better to have a good laugh at something than to get angry at it. You know, you save a lot of energy than being pissed off at people because they do stupid things. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening. And if I survive next week, oh, looking forward to seeing everyone. No, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening, Tuesday and Wednesday. And, oh my God.
Yeah.
I think on Wednesday I have like 7 classes I have to teach.
God.
Okay. Thank you. God bless you all. And
Thank
All
you.
right, Stuart, thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Good night.
very much, Stuart. Beautiful.
Hmm.